Joe Brady, though, out. A fascinating career path, right? Meteoric rise, now kind of an equally fast descent in a lot of ways. Let's start with the most basic question, Jake. Should LSU and Brian Kelly hire Joe Brady to be their OC?
I don't think it's going to happen. It's like bringing something back from the old regime, and it's just like you're trying to start new. You've hit reset. You've kind of changed some of the things that you're doing. It's not to say that Joe Brady's not a hell of a football coach. I still think, like in college football, he has shown that he can be a very good, schemer. So he'll get a job. He'll probably be successful in college, but I don't know if it's here at LSU. You would assume that Brian Kelly wants to bring in someone that shares his vision. Like, we don't know if the vision would be shared by him and Joe Brady. Now, there's a lot of things that Joe Brady brought to LSU that I absolutely loved. His willingness to be the leader in five-man protection is something that I love. His willingness to throw it to the running back with Clyde and 55 catches. And certainly him and Ensminger worked extremely well together, which is very difficult to do when you've got, two personalities in a booth together, but they worked really well together. There's a lot of things to like about Joe Brady, but I just don't think that Brian Kelly's going to make that move.
Now, what's interesting on Joe is that he wasn't necessarily put in the best position in Carolina in a lot of ways, Jake. I mean,
no.
With Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater first, but then Sam Darnold and Cam Newton being your quarterbacks. So does that tell you, and with Chris McCaffrey being hurt the entire time, but does that tell you then that tells me that Matt Rule thought that maybe he just wasn't a very good coordinator? That it's not just that he was a victim of some bad situations. It's that, the situations were bad, but even within that context, he performed very poorly. I mean, midseason firing like this is a hell of a thing, dude. Matt Rule's not under that much pressure. He's like a 7-year, like $7 million a year deal or whatever, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. This just speaks to Rule, I guess, just not being impressed with Brady really at all.
I mean, it was a big jump. Let's call it like it is. It was a big jump from going from passing game coordinator that called some plays at LSU, but obviously Slinger handled a majority of it, to going to being an NFL play caller. And you're calling plays at the highest level. And, this year, obviously he loses two assistants that come and they're LSU's coordinator and passing game coordinator. But was he given the best tools? No. But it could be a situation. Maybe it was personality fit. Maybe they, when things get tough,
that's what I'm saying.
Personalities start to come to the top, and if those personalities aren't meshing very well, and you're playing bad, then you'll make a move.
I think that's where my head's at, Jake. Is that it is a bit of a commentary on there was something else not working there, because who's gonna have good results with no Christian McCaffrey and Sam Darnold and Cam Newton? Cam Newton couldn't even throw the ball last year. Still can't really. Okay, here's the last thing I want to say. The other thing that I'm hating is that now people are like, it was Joe Burrow's offense. Joe Burrow made Joe Brady and these guys. When are we going to stop playing this game? You don't get in a team sport, you don't become the greatest offense the sport has ever seen unless it is a series of different elements perfectly lining up to form a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. So it's not just Burrow, Chase, Marshall, Jefferson. It's not, Clyde, that whole crew. It's not just the players. It's not just Ensminger. It's not just Brady. It's not just, it's all of these guys together. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, so I don't even know why we need to explain this.
Because the people that were saying, it's not Slinger, it's Joe Brady, and then Joe Brady struggles. It wasn't Joe Brady, it was really Joe Burrow. It's like, no, to T's point, it was everybody. It was everyone coming together, and everything worked perfectly. When you look at the things that they needed within that offense, and we'll take Clyde for example, if you're going to run five-man protection 93% of the time, and you're going to throw the football to your running back 55 times, well, it works with Clyde. Probably doesn't work with even a guy like Ty Davis Price. He was on that team, but he didn't have that type of role. You got to have the certain pieces that fit that mold. Thaddeus Moss was the perfect tight end for that offense, because if you go back and you actually watch the tape and don't just look at the stats, Thaddeus Moss was asked to do a lot of blocking, right? Well, and he also had to have the receiving skills to Dick Dixon, break all Dick Dixon's records for the single season tight end stuff. It had to be a combination of that. You had to have a Lloyd Cushenberry to be able to handle some of the protections. So there's all the parts that add up to what LSU was in 2019.
Yeah, so stop trying to make it all about one person. All right, we got to go to break. Last thing, though, I would not hire Joe Brady. Now, I trust Brian Kelly. If he says yes, I'm in, but I would not. You've been chasing that ghost to your detriment for 2 years now. More off the bench. We're going to come back, close it up real quick, and we'll kick off hour 3. Lock on.